Hello everyone, I'm Krish and I'm from Lambton College, Mississauga, and my program is BMHM and I'm BMHM student. Today we have Tony Wong as our podcast guest for the DEI and belonging topic. So, sir, how are you?
I'm well. I'm fighting a bit of a flu, but I'm here today. I'm excited to talk to you about DE&I.
Okay, so can you please just first tell about yourself, like your experience in HR?
So for me, I hold a degree in business with specialization within human resources. I've been working in human resources for about 5 years now. My experience stems from the Educational Institute, so for Lambton College, and I also worked at Wonderland for a couple of years as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, so first question of the podcast is, can you briefly explain the concepts of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging?
So to me, in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as belonging, we know that we are in Canada, which means that we have a very, very diverse crowd. Similar to like myself and yourself, we are very, very different people. And because we are very different people, you bring forth a lot of different types of understandings, culture, and the way you speak, and so do myself. And sometimes there's a bit of a barrier between us. So DE&I to me is how do we break down those barriers so that me and you can be talking the same way, can do activities the same way, and we can all enjoy each other's company like one human being.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Okay, let's move to next question. Can you share any personal experiences where you felt excluded or included in a professional setting?
So when I was at Wonderland, I got the opportunity to work as an area supervisor. So I oversaw a team of about 7 or 10 throughout the year. And one of the biggest things or challenges that I found was motivation. Right? A lot of the times we are stuck doing a lot of the paperwork for HR. You have to scan all these paperwork, work permits, study permits, and whatnot. So a lot of the times collaboration can take a hit, or everyone's just very burnt out. So I needed to figure out activities so that it included everybody, a Filipino background, of a Tamil background, of a Polish background, and whatnot. And how do I create an activity where everyone can understand it? Maybe we can go bowling. Bowling is a sport where not many people will do. So everyone's still trying to learn, and that's how I kind of try and include everyone into an activity. When I am thinking about these activities as well, I try not to think about cultural activities. So if I were to choose like a Chinese cultural activity, it may not work for you because you might not understand Chinese culture, and there might be a bit of a barrier between us. So I try and choose activities where all of us can indulge and enjoy.
Okay. And how did that impact you?
How did that impact me? I am someone who really loves supporting and teaching, which is why I'm here at Lambton College. And because of that, seeing how everyone is engaging, they're laughing, they're enjoying themselves, and seeing people that don't normally talk together in the work setting, and now they're talking together and now they're enjoying each other's company, that to me is very, very fulfilling.
Okay, so let's move to the next question. What do you think are the biggest challenges organizations faces when trying to implement DEI and belonging initiatives?
That's a very good question. You can't make everyone happy. There will always be someone who's not going to be very, very happy, and I think that's the biggest challenge, right? Because you can't make everyone happy or make an activity where everyone's going to enjoy it, what are other processes or other things that you can do? Sometimes a lot of organizations maybe cater to the mass majority. So as long as the activity hits 80-90% of the people and they're enjoying it, I think that's completely fine. But sometimes that other 10%, if they don't enjoy bowling, for example, maybe they enjoy self-study or self-innovation. Is there another activity that I can give them where it helps them develop their experiences, their expertise, as well as making an effort to make an impact within the organization? So thinking of ways to cater to them as well.
Okay. And how can organizations measure the success of their DEI and belonging efforts? And it will be good if you provide specifics.
How? Okay, so in Wonderland, for me, we had something called like a motivation committee. And this was the committee where we had everyone from HR. We had 3 different departments at the time, and we would invite them to sign up. And as long as you signed up, you can enjoy some of the activities. Sometimes we had a potluck dinner, sometimes we had movie nights for Halloween. Maybe there's candygrams, and we make little candy bags for different people. So the way we measured success, because these activities were not mandatory, I couldn't force you to come. So the first 2-3 activities was setting the standard, letting them know what we do, what we are all about. And if they really enjoyed it and they were engaging, that means that they'll willingly come back again, especially if it's free. Everyone loves free food, right?
Yeah.
So what we did was The first 2 times we had everyone come in, this is what we're gonna do, here were our plans. We went through a checklist with them, conducted maybe a bowling night and a movie night. We had popcorn and whatnot. And they seemed to really enjoy it. So the next time we had another activity, we decided just to put an open forum where they had to sign up. If you want to enjoy this, if you have time, you can come and sign up. And we found that more than 85% of our team was signing up for these events and they were really enjoying it. A lot of them were talking to each other and there was a lot of commotion about, oh, the motivation's coming, we're going to do this. So that's how we kind of measure success within the organization.
Okay. And as a leader or professional, what steps have you personally taken to foster inclusion and belonging in your environment?
That's a really good question. For me, I'm in a leadership position, which means that other people are looking towards me for guidance.
Yeah.
Because they're looking towards me for guidance, I do my best to keep an open mind. So every type of conversation that I have with my students, with my team members, I try and understand what they're trying to say. I ask questions to better understand what they are trying to portray as well. And that way it leaves very little room for assumptions. I think assumptions is the biggest thing for me. As long as I'm not assuming things and I'm asking you, you're telling me black and white, this is what you're looking for, this is what you want. I think I'm doing a good job as a leader within DE&I.
Okay. How can companies respond to individuals or groups who may resist DEI initiatives, either consciously or unconsciously?
For ones who are consciously saying no to DE&I inclusion and whatnot, I would maybe ask them why. Why are you so against the idea? What is it about this idea that you don't like? Is it the people? Is it the idea itself? Or is it just something that you don't really want? If it's something that they don't really want, it's very difficult for me to force them to enjoy something. But if I know that maybe a team member or someone within the company is giving them a hard time and they don't feel very comfortable, I can create a better environment for them so that they feel included. Or maybe there are certain activities where they don't really understand and I'm doing a very poor job of explaining it to them. That's where I can improve my communication so that they feel more included. So I think the biggest idea for people who are conscious about not supporting DE&I, I think the biggest thing is, are they willing to change their perspective? If they're not willing to change their perspective, it's going to be very difficult for them to indulge. But if they're willing to change their perspective, what can I do to help move that process? Now, unconsciously, these are things that you may not think about. So if it's something that you don't think about, similar to like stereotypes, you say things and you don't really notice it. The first thing I would do as a leader is maybe ask them a question. How did that come across? Would you have enjoyed it or liked it if I said something similar to you? Just so that it helps them kind of understand in real time what that moment meant to them. And maybe the next time they think about it or the next time that comes around, they are in a better position where they can think about that example and they can make changes. So with DE&I, if they're unconsciously maybe not open to DE&I, I can maybe give an information session, maybe give a pamphlet, show the exciting things about what we've done for DE&I. Especially if we've had past experiences or past activities that we do with the groups, we typically take good group photos, pictures, and videos, and that's something that I can share with them to make them feel like this is a very fun thing to do, this is what we are all about, that's how we can keep inclusion with everybody.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see DEI and belonging efforts extended beyond the workplace and influencing broader societal change?
Sorry, can you please repeat that?
Yeah, sure. How do you see DEI and belonging efforts extending beyond the workplace and influencing broader societal change?
So we see DE&I everywhere, and I think companies are one of the last, like corporations or businesses are one of the last people to incorporate DE&I in a very, very formal setting. An example of a non-formal setting outside of the business would be, let's say, sports, right? We have, I love basketball. I used to play soccer. We have cricket as well. And for example, with cricket specifically, I don't know anything about cricket, but I do have friends who love playing cricket. And because they are my friends and they love playing cricket, they will ask me, oh, do you want to play? They teach me how to swing the bat. What are some of the rules? These are some of the pylons at the back that you have to hit, or not pylons, the sticks that you have to hit down and whatnot. And that's one way we use sports to incorporate inclusion. Basketball, we all come in different shapes, sizes, different genders, different colors. And because we're all playing the same sport, as long as you have the same type of skill sets and you're willing to learn and willing to play, typically that's how we foster inclusion in a broader society. It's just that now that we see so many different types of people, especially in an organization, not all organizations will have that type of mentality where we want to include you, which is why I feel like organizations are one of the last ones who are fostering DE&I changes.
Okay, so it's already out before?
I feel like it's already out before. Now they just want to put it into word and paper.
Yeah.
Similar to like mental health. Before mental health, we understand there's mental health, but not everyone knows what mental health is. Now the government and the health institution, they're like, okay, this is what mental health is, these are the guidelines, this is how we can seek help. Now the corporations, now the education, now they're teaching all of this stuff. DE&I feel like is very, very similar.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
How can individuals practice inclusion and foster a sense of belonging in their everyday lives outside of organizational frameworks?
Similar to like what I said before, I say it in an open mind. Anyone and everyone that you kind of come across, a lot of the times we don't know what we don't know, right? We are always children, no matter what kind of age we are. When we're 50, when we're 15, when we're 5, we're still children. When we were 5, we're children because we don't know how to speak, we don't know how to walk, we don't know how to do life skills. When we are 15, we are 25, we are getting to know the life skills, but we are still learning what it means to be an adult. Now that we hit 45, 55, we're still a child because we're learning how to take care of family, maybe take care of my wife if I have a wife, my kids, maybe buy a house. So I think every step along the way, we are always children. We are always trying to learn new things, and that's the mentality we should go when we're meeting other people. So if I'm meeting you for the first time, Krish, I don't know who you are, I didn't know you were a student. So for me, I should keep an open mind. Oh, maybe he is a student, he's coming in from another country. It's gonna be very, very scary meeting different types of Canadians, different types of people. Going for an education with our family here, it's very, very scary for you. I can't relate to that. So by going into an open mind, asking you questions, getting to know you, that's how I, in my everyday life, foster inclusion and belonging for everybody.
Okay, so it means just go out, talk to people.
Talk to
right?
people, yeah, talk to people in an open mind, try and get to know them. Try
Okay.
and get to know them.
Okay. And what do you think the future of DEI and belonging looks like? Are there emerging trends or concepts that you find particularly promising?
I haven't experienced any trends specifically at the moment. It's very hard to say because the generation after me, so I think it's Generation Z, is that?
Yeah,
or
Gen Z.
Alpha, Gen Z and Alpha. They have a very, very different way of thinking compared to myself, right? So I'm not too sure what they think about diversity, inclusion, and belonging, especially with the incorporation of technology. Everyone's online nowadays. So now that everyone's online, you see an avatar of who they are rather than you see in person of who you are, right? So I think diversity, inclusion, and equity are starting to change from a technological perspective of how we treat others online. But in terms of in person, in real life, especially in corporations, I think it's going in a really, really positive direction. Yes, definitely there will always be pros and cons to all changes, but I think this is a very good thing for us because at the end of the day, Canada is a diversified country. We are not Canadians without the mixture of people from China, from Vietnam, from Cambodia, from Spain, from Europe, from India, all these other countries that they're all coming in from. That's what makes Canada, Canada, right?
Yeah, that's
So-
what makes Canada unique.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because of that, I think D&I is going in a very, very good upward trend, especially with corporations, helping us understand other cultures a little better, helping us understand people better, how we can help each other out, especially helping aspect. Because a lot of the times, the reason why we don't choose to help each other is the miscommunication and the assumptions that we have of each other.
Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice to individuals who are just beginning to explore DEI and belonging, what would it be?
Beginning to explore D&I, I would say explore yourself first. Who are you? What do you bring? What kind of cultures do you really like? What kind of cultures do you not know about? Do you have anything that you like about specific cultures? Do you have anything you don't like as specific about cultures? Now that you know a bit more about yourself, I would go online, do a bit of research, or maybe look at your friends. Oh, I didn't know about this culture. Can you tell me a bit more about it? I didn't know that this was something that you do. Tell me more about it. So by learning more about yourself you see some of the weaknesses and the holes in your knowledge, and that way you can fill up those holes and better understand what other people are all about. And I think that's going to be a really good step towards DE&I.
So I want to know about that. How do you incorporate DEI at college?
In the college.
Yeah.
So I'm in a very unique position where I'm the HR officer. I also teach job search success for the students here. So while I'm teaching, one way I include DE&I is during my first class, I have something called an icebreaker. And it's like a bingo card or bingo sheet where I create different types of things that they have to find lipstick, find someone with shorts, who's the tallest, who's the shortest. And these are all generic types of descriptions of people, so that it forces them to come out of their group. Oh, are you taller than me? Oh, when is your birthday? Oh, what kind of food do you like? And that helps them kind of talk to the classmates, and that's how they kind of foster communication with them. That's one way I'm trying to break barriers down, especially with D&I. The other thing is that when I do talk to them, any type of examples that I do give during class, I try and use examples that I see from the class. So if I see a lot of Punjabi people, a lot of Tamil people, a lot of Indian, Spanish, Filipinos, Chinese, I would try and use specific groups that I see there so that it incorporates that engagement from them. I'm still thinking about them, the types of things that they might be going through. I'm trying to understand them a bit more. And by talking about these with them, the students themselves will let me know, oh, Tony, these things have changed, or like there's some things like this, and they're also teaching me about what their culture is about. And that's how I foster diversity and inclusion while I'm teaching. Now, from an HR perspective, we do hire interns and co-ops at the college. And during the times that we hire, we do look at what our staff is made up of and who our target market is. Our target market is basically the students, right? So
Yeah.
the people that we hire, we help the students. So what are the students looking for? You're looking for representation as well. So if you are someone who maybe struggles with a bit of English and you're looking for someone who's a bit more familiar so that you can talk to them a bit easier, you might want to see someone who represents who you are. That's why when you see our front desk, we have people who are Indian, who are Spanish, who are Filipino, Filipina. Our IT department is also a mixture of different types of cultures and different types of people, both male and female. And the idea of that is so that you see the representation, you see that people just like yourself can also attain a job here at the college, and not only that, also get a job elsewhere, right? So it creates that confidence and creates that inclusion for all of our students.
Okay, and sir, I want to know about that when you do the hiring. So how do you incorporate diversity? Like how do you hire people with diversity?
That's a very, very difficult question. Every company has their own guidelines as to what they want in terms of diversity. A lot of the times nowadays we see that due to diversity, companies will put a percentage of how many people that they want to hire. So maybe they want a even 25% Indian or Chinese, 25% Asian, because that's including Indians and Chinese, 25% maybe Black, which is Nigeria, Africa, Trinidad, stuff like that. You have maybe 25% European and maybe 25% that are local, whoever lives in the country. So some companies run it that way, and when they're looking at resumes, even though some people with their resumes may fit the job, they will look for other people who have better qualifications, especially in another diversified region. I'm not saying that is correct, but it is one of the steps that they are taking to be able to create diversified companies and corporations and environments. In my opinion, let's say, for example, if I had a company, then it's all very similar like me, Chinese. You're gonna look at my company and say, you only hire Chinese people,
Yeah.
right? So that's one flaw. But let's say, for example, my company says I hire 25% each, and you say that, why did you hire a European and you didn't hire me? My qualification is just the same. Now I'm gonna tell them, because of my diversity, my equity, and my inclusion, I wanted to hire them instead, right? That takes an opportunity away from you. So at the end of the day, it's very, very difficult to say what is right and what is wrong. It's very difficult to say diversity is, using the word diversity doesn't mean you're doing the right things. Sometimes you are making someone a little unhappy. So as long as you're able to justify why you hired them and not solely based off of their culture and their background, and they have the experiences and the foundations for it, I think you're in a very good position. But if you're not able to explain why you hired them from a hard skill and soft skill perspective, I think diversity might be a little skewed in that perception. I hope that clarifies it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay, so my question is to you that how do you conduct DEI training?
That's a really good question, actually. For example, for Wonderland, we did have a PowerPoint presentation where we would talk about what D&I means to us. So what is diversity, what is equity, what is inclusion? We showed them the differences between equity and being equal, right? So what is equity and what is being equal? Equality. Equality is giving you the same types of resources so that you're able to do the same type of tasks. Whereas equity is giving you the resources so that you can be successful in the task. For example, if you were trying to reach the top shelf to get, let's say, a box of papers for me, if you are very, very tall, maybe you don't need a big step ladder, you might just need a small stool so that you can be successful to get it. But if you're a little shorter, a stool is not going to be enough for you. You might need a ladder. So equity is giving you the type of resources, whereas equality is just providing you with whatever you need. So this training is very, very important because for myself at the time, we didn't know what equity is, what is equality. So this diversity, equity, and inclusion training helps define to us what is DE&I, what the company expects from us for DE&I. So for example, because we are a diversified organization at Canada's Wonderland, we hire all types of people from students all the way to full-timers who are a bit more older than us. How do we talk to them? How do we conduct ourselves? What kind of questions do we want to avoid asking? These are the assumption questions. Be mindful of what you're talking about and the people that you are around. Keep things a little bit more professional. If it's too personal, you might be stepping on a landmine. So this PowerPoint presentation really helps me and helps entry-level students and job seekers to better understand what corporations are expecting from them. And I think the best thing about this is that not all of us know what DE&I is, right? And I'm sure the people who are watching this on the other side of the camera, they might not know what DE&I is to them, right? So having a corporation set out those standards, what it means to them, helps you kind of better understand what DE&I is to you. And maybe you might not resonate with some of the DE&I strategies that they have, and that's where different strategies come in. What are some of your opinions? What are some of the ideas that you may have? And maybe we can incorporate that, because a lot of the times we don't know what we don't know, and for us to be able to figure out how we can be better, that's where feedback comes in. So your opinion really matters to organizations as well.
Okay. And so another thing which I want to know is that how would you face if someone with a DI issue comes you and tell that this is what happened with me, and like it will be like if someone said something about that person's background or something like that. So if that person comes to you and tell you that this is what happened with me, so what you will do?
So for me, typically I follow a specific process. All concerns to me are valuable. So whether it's smaller and whether it's big, I try not to belittle them. I always keep an open mind. Like I was saying, I always try to listen. I would document what the story is, what their story is, what happened, who is it with, anything that they want to disclose. I let them know that this is going to be confidential between me and the person, and the only people who will know about it is myself or whoever is going to be involved in it, and they have full access to know. From there, I would seek out the individual or the people who have made those comments or made some sort of action. I would have a sit-down conversation with them, see what their side of the story is. Once I have both sides of the story, if they match up, great. I can maybe move forward with some sort of solution and help them kind of better understand where they went wrong and how they can be better. If there's a discrepancy between the two stories, I might have both of them come in and maybe have a mediator. That way someone else is listening to the conversation to make a better decision. Excuse me. And some extenuating cases, so for example, they didn't just make a remark, they started maybe vandalizing, or they did something a bit more further than just verbal talk. I would say I would pull up cameras, maybe footage, to better understand what the situation is like. Once I have a good understanding of the entire story, I can make a better decision as to how I can help them out. We know that racist comments, gender type of comments are not they're typically very frowned upon. They're not very, very good comments. In those cases, I would typically talk about why did you say it, what made you say it, how can we improve of this, are there other approaches to the way we communicate? So for example, sometimes people are very direct. Some people are very direct, some people like to go around the corner. If I say, Krish, you're not doing a good job today, right? That could be one way of being very, very direct.
Yeah.
Another approach to it, I could say, Krish, I think you're doing a pretty good job so far, but I think there's a bit of improvements that you can do. The type of message that I'm sending to you is very, very similar, but the approach is very different. One of them is just that I'm telling you that you're wrong and I don't offer any type of improvement. The other one, I'm offering some sort of dialogue and context so that you're like, okay, Tony is not just letting him know that he's doing wrong. He's telling him that he's been doing well so far. He just needs a bit of improvement, so this is now feedback coming in. So I think the approach is very, very important in those cases.
So last question of the podcast. What's one thing you hope listeners take away from today's conversation about DEI and belonging?
Open-mindedness. Open-mindedness, I think, is the biggest thing. A lot of times we are very stuck with what we want because we are people who, we want things, we have our own aspirations, we want to go become an HR director one day, for example, right? You want to become an HR director, there's one position for an HR director. If I'm going for it too, typically there's going to be competition. Yeah. So with competition, with anything in life, when you're trying to go for the same type of goals, typically some people will step on others so that they can go above themselves. A lot of times I would suggest healthy competition, keeping an open mind. Sometimes, even if you get the position, yes, but if you don't do a good job, at the end of the day, they're gonna let you go anyways. So by keeping an open mind, it helps you fill in all those flaws that you may have, strengthening those personality traits and all those soft and hard skills that you have. And I think that will make your candidacy for any other type of positions very, very valuable. Even if you don't get the HR director job today because someone else took it, at least you improve to a point where another opportunity might open up and you might have a better opportunity than the one presented in front of you.
Okay, so it means that just talk be open-minded, and do not keep anything in mind, assumptions or stereotypes and all.
Yeah, no
Just go and
assumptions or
reach out to
stereotypes.
the public.
Yes,
Yeah.
reach out. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your time, Krish. Really had a
Yeah.
good time talking to
Yeah,
you.
thank you for your time. Yeah.